My entitled sister tried to steal my wedding day, so I turned the tables in a way she'll never forget. I'll never forget the moment I stood in my wedding dress, staring into the mirror, tears streaming down my face, not from joy, but from betrayal. My sister, the one person I thought would always have my back, had just tried to sabotage the most important day of my life. But let me tell you how I got my revenge, and how it felt so good to watch her world crumble. Let's rewind. I'm Sarah, 29, and I've been planning my dream wedding to my fiancé, Mark, for over a year. Mark and I met in college, bonded over our love for cheesy rom-coms and late-night taco runs, and after 6 years together, he proposed on a quiet beach at sunset. It was perfect. We're not rich. Mark's a high school teacher, and I'm a graphic designer, but we saved every penny to make our wedding special. We wanted a small, intimate ceremony, just 80 guests, at a beautiful vineyard near our hometown. Think fairy lights, rustic tables, and a playlist of our favorite songs. It was our day, or so I thought. Enter my sister, Jessica, 32, the golden child of our family. Jess has always been the center of attention, gorgeous, charming, and a master manipulator. Growing up, she got the best clothes, the bigger bedroom, and mom and dad's unwavering adoration. I was the quiet one, the reliable one, always cleaning up her messes. When I got engaged, I naively thought Jess would be happy for me. She was my maid of honor, after all, but I should have known better. The trouble started 6 months before the wedding. Jess came over to my apartment all smiles and said, "Sarah, I have amazing news. Jake proposed." Jake was her on-again, off-again boyfriend of 3 years, a guy who seemed nice but was completely under her thumb. I hugged her, genuinely excited, and asked about her plans. That's when her smile turned sly. "I was thinking, why don't we make it a double wedding? It'll save money and it'll be so fun to share the day." I froze. Share my wedding. The one Mark and I had been meticulously planning. I tried to be diplomatic. "Jess, that's sweet, but we've already booked everything. It's a small venue and we want it to be just us." Her face fell and she muttered, "Fine, I just thought it'd be special." I felt a pang of guilt, but I brushed it off. Big mistake. Over the next few months, Jess's behavior got weirder. She'd accidentally book appointments at the same bridal boutique as me, trying on dresses that were suspiciously similar to mine. She'd post on social media about her big day coming up, even though she hadn't set a date. At one point, she jokingly asked if she could borrow my wedding dress after my wedding to save money. I laughed it off, but Mark wasn't amused. "She's up to something," he warned. I didn't want to believe it. Then came the bridal shower. I'd planned a low-key brunch with my closest friends and family. Jess insisted on hosting it at her place, saying it was her gift to me. I was touched until I arrived. The decorations were all her style, gaudy gold balloons, a massive banner that said "Bride to Be," and a cake with her name on it. She spent the entire party talking about her engagement, showing off her ring, and hinting that her wedding would blow mine out of the water. My friends were visibly uncomfortable, and my mom just laughed it off, saying, "Oh, that's just Jess being Jess." I went home and cried, feeling like my own sister was stealing my moment. But the real betrayal came 2 weeks before the wedding. I got a frantic call from our venue coordinator, Lisa. "Sarah, I'm so confused. Your sister called and said you're adding a second ceremony to the schedule. She sent over a deposit for her and Jake's wedding on the same day. Is this correct?" I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. "What? No, that's not happening," I stammered. Lisa explained that Jess had called, claiming to be me, and tried to book a double wedding, saying it was a surprise for me. She'd even sent out invitations to our guest list, announcing Sarah and Mark and Jessica and Jake's dream wedding. My heart sank as I realized she'd been planning this behind my back for months. I called Jess immediately. "What the hell are you doing?" I shouted. She played dumb at first, then got defensive. "I just thought it'd be easier. We're family, Sarah. Why are you being so selfish?" Selfish, selfish. I hung up, shaking with rage. Mark was livid, but he calmed me down and said, "We're not letting her ruin this. Let's fix it." I called Lisa back and clarified that there would be no double wedding. She apologized profusely and canceled Jess's additions. But the damage was done. Half our guests had received her invitations, and some had even RSVP'd to her. My mom called begging me to compromise because Jess was so upset. I refused. This was my line in the sand. That's when I decided to get even. The plan, I'm not a vengeful person, but Jess had crossed a line. I wasn't just going to stop her. I was going to make sure she never tried to pull something like this again. Mark and I brainstormed with my best friend, Emma, who's a genius at organizing and frankly a little terrifying when she's mad. We came up with a plan that was equal parts subtle and savage. Step 1. We let Jess think she'd won. I called her and apologized for overreacting. I said we could work something out to include her in the wedding, but it wouldn't be a double ceremony. She was thrilled, thinking she'd gotten her way. I asked her to give a speech as the maid of honor, and she eagerly agreed, already planning how she'd make it about herself. Step 2. We secured the venue. I explained everything to Lisa, who was horrified and promised to keep Jess's name off all official bookings. We also hired a security guard, a friend of Mark's, a burly guy named Tony, to ensure no unapproved surprises happened on the day. Step 3. The real revenge. Emma, who's a whiz with social media, suggested we turn Jess's own tactics against her. Jess had been posting non-stop about her upcoming wedding, so we decided to let her dig her own grave. Emma created a private group chat with our closest friends and family minus Jess and my mom, who'd take her side. We explained the situation and asked them to play along, acting excited about Jess's wedding online without mentioning mine. They flooded her posts with comments like, "Can't wait for your big day," and "Where's your venue?" Jess, loving the attention, started spilling details about her dream wedding, details that didn't exist because she hadn't actually planned anything. Meanwhile, I quietly confirmed with all our guests that the wedding was just for Mark and me. I sent out new invitations, clarifying the situation, and asked everyone to keep it hush-hush. Most were appalled at Jess's behavior and happy to comply. The wedding day arrived, and I woke up feeling like a warrior. My dress was perfect, the vineyard was stunning, and Mark looked like he'd stepped out of a fairy tale in his suit. I was nervous but ready. Jess showed up in a white dress, not a wedding dress, but close enough to make a statement. I bit my tongue and smiled. "You look great, Jess," I said sweetly. She smirked, thinking she was stealing the show. The ceremony went off without a hitch. Mark and I exchanged vows, and I could feel the love in the room. Jess sat in the front row, fidgeting, clearly waiting for her moment. That moment came during the reception, when it was time for her maid of honor speech. She stood up, glass in hand, and launched into a speech that was 90% about her and Jake. "I've always dreamed of my own wedding," she said, "and being here today makes me so excited for what's to come." The room went quiet. Everyone knew what she'd tried to do. I caught Emma's eye, and she gave me a subtle nod. It was time. Before Jess could finish, Emma stood up and said, "Sorry to interrupt, but we have a special surprise for the maid of honor." The projector screen behind Jess lit up, and a montage began playing. It was a compilation of screenshots from her social media posts, boasting about her wedding, overlaid with audio from her call to the venue. Lisa had recorded it with permission for legal reasons. The audio clearly showed Jess pretending to be me, trying to hijack the day. The final slide read, "Jessica, today is about Sarah and Mark. Your day will come when you actually plan it." The room erupted in gasps and whispers. Jess's face turned beet red. She stammered, "This is a misunderstanding," but no one was buying it. My mom looked mortified, and Jake, poor guy, just stared at the floor. I stood up, took the mic, and said, "Jess, I love you, but this day is mine and Mark's. Thanks for being here." The crowd clapped, and Jess sank into her seat, humiliated. But we weren't done. Emma had one more trick up her sleeve. She'd contacted a local event planner who owed her a favor and arranged for a consolation gift for Jess. A fake wedding itinerary, printed beautifully, detailing a non-existent wedding at a community center the following month. It included every over-the-top detail Jess had posted about online: gold fountains, a 10-tier cake, a live band. Emma handed it to her with a smile, saying, "We know you've been planning, so we wanted to help." The room laughed, thinking it was a joke, but Jess knew it was a jab at her lies. The aftermath, Jess left the reception early, claiming she felt sick. Jake apologized to me later, saying he had no idea what she'd been up to. I felt bad for him. He deserved better. My mom tried to guilt-trip me, but I shut her down. "This was my day, Mom. She tried to ruin it. I'm done playing second fiddle." The wedding ended on a high note. Mark and I danced under the stars, surrounded by people who truly cared about us. The video of Jess's speech and the montage went viral in our small circle, and she deleted her social media accounts the next day. Last I heard, she and Jake are on a break, and she's keeping a low profile. Looking back, I don't regret a thing. Jess thought she could steal my moment, but I showed her, and everyone else, that I'm not the pushover she thought I was. My wedding was perfect, not because of the venue or the dress, but because I stood up for myself and the love Mark and I share. And that, dear Redditors, is a victory I'll cherish forever. If you thought my sister Jessica's wedding day stunt was the end of the drama, buckle up. After her humiliating takedown at my wedding, I hoped she'd learned her lesson. But Jess, being Jess, decided to double down with a revenge plan of her own. Spoiler alert, it crashed and burned, and I made sure her final attempt to steal the spotlight ended with her eating humble pie in front of everyone we know. Here's how it went down. The calm before the storm after the wedding, Mark and I were on cloud 9. We honeymooned in a cozy cabin in the mountains, laughing about the montage that exposed Jess's scheming. For a blissful 2 weeks, I didn't think about her at all. But when we got back, my phone was blowing up with texts from friends and family. Apparently, Jess wasn't done trying to make herself the main character. While we were away, Jess had been spinning a new narrative. She posted a tearful Instagram story claiming I had sabotaged her engagement by humiliating her at my wedding. She said the montage was fake and that I'd stolen her thunder out of jealousy. She even hinted that Jake had broken up with her because of me. The audacity! Some of our extended family, who hadn't been at the wedding, started messaging me, asking why I'd been so cruel. My mom, predictably, took Jess's side, saying I'd gone too far with the public shaming. I was furious, but Mark and my best friend Emma convinced me to stay calm. "She's digging her own grave again," Emma said with a grin. "Let's see how far she takes this." I agreed to lay low, but I wasn't going to let her rewrite history. I had a feeling Jess was planning something big, and I wanted to be ready. Jess's big comeback about a month after the wedding, I got an invitation in the mail. It was for an engagement extravaganza for Jess and Jake, hosted at a fancy downtown hotel. The invite was over the top, gold foil, embossed lettering, and a note that read, "Join us to celebrate the love story of the century." I nearly choked on my coffee. Jake had supposedly dumped her, and now she was throwing a lavish party. Something wasn't right. I called Jake, who I'd always liked despite his questionable taste in women. He sounded exhausted. "Sarah, I don't know what she's doing," he admitted. "We're not together anymore. She begged me to play along for this party to save face, but I'm not going." He explained that Jess had been spiraling since the wedding, obsessed with proving she was still the better sister. She'd rented the hotel ballroom with money she didn't have, maxing out credit cards and even asking our parents for a loan. The worst part? She'd invited all our wedding guests, framing it as a redo of her ruined moment. I felt a mix of pity and rage. Pity because Jess was clearly unraveling. Rage because she was still trying to hijack my life to fix her ego. I thanked Jake for the heads up and called an emergency meeting with Emma and Mark. "She's not getting away with this," I said, "but we need to be smart." Emma's eyes lit up. "Oh, we'll be smart and we'll make sure everyone sees who she really is." The plan, our goal, was simple. Let Jess's party implode under the weight of her own lies, with a little nudge from us to seal the deal. We knew she was banking on sympathy and attention, so we decided to give her just enough rope to hang herself. Step 1. We RSVP'd to the party. I sent a polite reply, saying Mark and I were so excited to celebrate her and Jake. I even offered to help with decorations, knowing she'd take the bait to show off. Sure enough, she texted back, gushing about how grateful she was for my support. I could practically hear her smugness through the phone. Step 2. We gathered evidence. Emma, who's basically a detective in her free time, dug into Jess's social media and found more inconsistencies. Jess had posted photos of a venue tour at the hotel, but the dates didn't match the hotel's booking records. Emma's cousin works there and checked for us. She'd also been DMing mutual friends, claiming Jake was just shy about the engagement and that the breakup rumors were lies spread by jealous people. We saved everything. Step 3. The piece de resistance. Jake agreed to help us, fed up with Jess's manipulation. He gave us access to their text conversations, where she'd begged him to pretend they were still engaged for the party. He also recorded a short video, explaining that he wasn't engaged to Jess and wouldn't be attending her event. "I'm sorry for any confusion," he said in the video, looking genuinely remorseful. "I wish Jess the best, but we're not together." We planned to use this at the right moment. The engagement extravaganza the night of the party arrived, and the hotel ballroom was a spectacle. Gold balloons, a champagne fountain, and a massive banner that read "Jessica and Jake forever." Jess was in her element, wearing a sparkly gown that screamed "bride-to-be," greeting guests with a fake smile. I noticed our parents, some cousins, and a few of our wedding guests milling around, looking confused. Jake was nowhere to be seen, which Jess brushed off with, "He's running late from work." Mark and I played along, chatting with guests and acting supportive. I even helped Jess adjust the centerpiece on the head table, smiling as she whispered, "Thanks for being here, Sarah. I knew you'd come around." I nodded, biting back a laugh. She had no idea what was coming. The party was structured like a mini wedding reception, complete with speeches and a slideshow. Jess took the stage, holding a microphone like she was hosting the Oscars. "Thank you all for coming to celebrate my love story," she began, her voice dripping with self-importance. "After some misunderstandings, I'm so happy to share this moment with you." She launched into a sob story about how certain people had tried to tear her down, but she and Jake were stronger than ever. The room was quiet, and I could see guests exchanging awkward glances. That's when Emma, who'd been working the AV booth, she'd volunteered to help with tech, dimmed the lights and started the slideshow. Jess had prepared a sappy montage of her and Jake, but Emma had swapped it out. The screen lit up with Jake's video. His face appeared and he said, "Hi everyone, I need to set the record straight. Jessica and I are not engaged. I'm not here tonight because we broke up months ago. I wish her well, but please don't be misled." The room went dead silent. Jess's jaw dropped and she screamed, "Turn it off!" But Emma wasn't done. The next slides showed screenshots of Jess's text to Jake, begging him to play along, followed by her social media posts claiming a fake wedding. The final slide was a photo from my wedding, the moment Jess's montage played with the text. "Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, not a chance." Guests gasped. My mom burst into tears. Jess lunged for the AV booth, but Tony, our security guard friend from the wedding, was there to escort her back to her seat. I stood up, took the mic, and said, "I'm sorry you all were dragged into this. Jess, I wanted to believe you'd changed, but you haven't. I hope you find happiness, but it won't be at my expense." Mark squeezed my hand, and I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. The party fell apart. Guests started leaving, whispering about Jess's lies. Our cousins, who'd been on the fence, apologized to me profusely. My dad, who'd been quiet through all this, pulled me aside and said, "I'm proud of you, Sarah. I should have stood up for you sooner." It was the first time he'd ever said that, and I almost cried. Jess left the party in tears, her grand comeback in ruins. The hotel billed her for the full event, and since she'd maxed out her credit cards, our parents had to cover it. They finally saw her for who she was and stopped enabling her. Last I heard, Jess moved to a new city, claiming she needed a fresh start. She hasn't spoken to me since, and I'm okay with that. Jake sent me a thank you note for helping him break free from her manipulation, and he's dating someone new who sounds lovely. Mark and I are stronger than ever. We're planning a big anniversary party next year, and you can bet Jess won't be invited. Emma, my hero, is already designing the invites. The best part? I've finally found my voice. Jess spent years making me feel small, but I'm done being the quiet sister. This was my story, and I wrote the ending. Thanks for reading, Reddit. If you've got a sibling like Jess, I hope you find your own way to shine.